Hey, good evening, everybody. We're back just for a short this evening, but anyhow, we are going to try and rework this Palamar here. So I'm looking through my transformers here as we're talking, so bear with me here. Transformers here so we can get some transformers in this old gal. Something I'm getting kind of low on, actually. Alrighty. So anyhow, let's pull this board out here. Just makes it a lot easier to work on everything if it's actually out of the cabinet. Hello, Bruce. I figured you'd probably pop in there for this one. Let me grab some other stuff here. Hang on. Okay. So what we have here is our little Palamar. And anyhow, I'm going to go ahead and get the transformers down, get them wound, get them put down, and get our main power put in. Since this is yours and since you're here sitting back at work, what colors do you like? I have orange, blue, red, black, obviously. So, taste the rainbow. The only thing I don't have, oddly enough, in stock is white for the 16 gauge. Otherwise, I've got pretty much every color. What is that thing sitting on? Well, it's just that one needs to be heated up. I guess it's a little on the warped side, so I'll get a different transformer. But anyhow, yeah, you can actually orange and black. Okay, we can do that. So let me grab another transformers. That one's going to need to be redone. All right, so let's do some orange here. I'm going to find that hole. There it is. I'm going to halfway measure this out here because I know about how much it's going to take. Yeah, I just got through sending a couple friends some power wire myself. Sent Mr. Donkey Stomper, Chad over there, and sent him some wire. Sent Early some wire. So since I don't have a lot of time this evening, I figured I'd pop in here and we'd work on this for a few minutes. I got to get back on that Cobra 2000 that's there on the sidelines for the moment. But when I have very, very little time, I like to do something, especially before work. After work, it's a different story. I'm in a different mindset. So, that's usually whenever I try to work on stuff like that. Well, that gives me plenty of extra there. Yeah, it's been, this last week or so has been really interesting, to say the least, for me. But we got the 500 amp power supply. It's still for sale. I got the last video shot put up online for it. Did a little short video on my new load tester I got. Since the old one only goes up to 500 amps, I finally broke down and bought a little bit bigger one. Save that for here after a bit. Wound this one backwards. It's okay, it's easy to fix. So I'm going to try to get a little more ump and also set this amp up to where it's easily modified if these transistors ever go bad. That's the reason why we're going to go with an 1.25 inch instead of a 1-inch transformer like what was originally in there. It just gives you more options for that, oh shit. We're going to run those transistors till we can't get any more out of them, and then we'll go from there. Good evening, Robert. Yeah, that is probably one of the nicest I have built here in a long time. Of course, it it does have a very, very nice cabinet. And then I used the best of everything that I've got physically in stock. So, the Teflon wire that was used on that build, it's more than just regular Teflon. As far as on the AC, that stuff is actually a think here in a minute. That is actually a oh, my brain's dead today. That is actually a nickel-plated Teflon with an extremely low resistance on it, and then it is silver-plated, but it is considered a high current Teflon wire. So if you're using it for AC, which is all it's designed for, it is some phenomenal wire. I've got the regular silver Teflon as well, and then I've got that stuff. I don't have a lot of it. I've only got a couple of thousand feet of it, but I think I'm going to start using that on some builds as far as my, really high-end stuff that I do. I do a lot of stuff that, is right there in the middle. I rarely do any what I call budget builds anymore. Make sure there's none of this flux in between here real quick. Let's get some ferrite. I'm gonna get the power set down first. Let's see here. Yeah, let's even keep that orange. Everybody keeps asking me about the LD moss, and I've thought about that. And to be honest with you, I've actually got one of Sharky's kits that I bought about 2 years ago, and I've thought about just putting it up for sale just as it is. Mainly because of the fact that I just really don't have time to, mess with the whole LD moss thing, to be brutally honest with you. So I think that's the main reason why I think what I'm going to do is just actually put the kit up for sale just the way it is, just the way I got it, and move on to something else, because I just don't have time. The headaches that are involved with the LD moss, they are infinite, and that's one of the things that I keep running into with speaking with different people in regards to. So yeah, I think that's the route that I want to go, is just to walk away from the whole LD MOS thing. There is some great merit with the LD MOS, but also at the same token, there's a lot of pitfalls with it too. And a lot of it's the fact that where people love to change radios around and swap this and swap that. And once you set the LD MOS with a certain amount of drive input, and then a customer changes their radio and then they blow up their amplifier, they automatically assume that, it's because of something wrong that the builders have done. And that's not actually the case. I mean, it's very difficult actually to keep those running just because of the input. It's not the output, and it's not the uh, issue with badly tuned antennas or anything like that. It has to do with the actual input. Because I mean, if you set it up for a Cobra 29, and let's say you decide you sell it and you want to get to a bigger amp, well, even if they're told to run a Cobra 29 on it, and they decide, well, I've got this Striker 955, I'm going to run that instead. Well, then they blow up the amplifier, then they're all mad. I've been watching this for the last 5 years, and the more and more I keep looking at it, and the more and more I keep thinking, that's a headache that I think I want to just stay away from, to be brutally honest with you. Yes, exactly, Greg. Exactly. And that's kind of the whole thing there is, they are very, very sensitive on the input, the biasing. Like I said, I mean, I've done a lot of research back and forth in regards to that. And, like I said, the more and more I keep looking into it, the more and more I keep seeing where I don't think that's anything that I want to really get into. I mean, I did want to, and I still want to a certain degree, but if I build one, it would have to be for myself. Um, and I know for a fact I am not going to try to build some of these others like some of these guys have done, which is, the four LD Moss, um, 4 LD Moss kit, where that is just insane, insane amounts of power. Um, I'll leave that to somebody a little more capable, like Prime Minister or somebody like that, who is much more familiar with that. Because that is crazy. That's the best way I can put that one. That is crazy. Plus my shop's not that big to start rewiring everything, which the LD Moss, honestly, in a lot of ways, I mean, I can see that is going to be the way of the future for those that are looking to get into, I mean, what I call big power. I really do see that as being a huge option, for those people, that are looking to run, 5, 10, 20,000 watts. I can see that. But you're also looking at a different amount of drive because you've got a lot more transistors. But, with tubes and transformers, and it's more about the transformers, I think, now than it is anything else. Being just an extremely hard commodity to get a hold of, and they're getting harder and harder. They're getting more expensive, which, if you want to play, I guess, money's no object. But, for the most part, the rest of us, that's kind of salty. When you start getting into that. Oh yeah, 2,000 watts, and that's the other thing too, is the The LD Moss, to run it to where it's going to last you a lifetime, around from what I'm seeing, around 1700 is about the norm for a single pill transistor. They're not the easiest to work on, but they're not the hardest, thank God. Yes, and I will stay a little boy. I will stay a little boy because the cost of going into 5,000-10,000 watt amplifier is kind of out of my budget range. The way I look at it, anyhow. Yeah, that's the way I want to lay it. You get everything figured out here as far as where I'm going to start stripping, and then we'll go from there. Make these a little extra long, that way I can trim them to fit. So, yeah, this is something I'm sure you guys have seen me do a lot of here on a lot of the different amplifiers, and it's a spin-off of what Luke does on his, as far as bringing them up underneath the transformers. I really like the idea, and I do this a lot on different amplifiers. I use a different type of choke than what he does, but it's that way I'm not as uh, not quite the same either. It's the same, but it's a little different. But I kind of like doing it this way just because of the fact that I can lay everything down flat. Sometimes I'll build it what I call the old school way. Yeah, I figured you'd like that, Bruce. Should have had you help me whenever I was in here, or when you was over here the other day. Hold up the window so I could put my air conditioning in. I still haven't put my air conditioning in yet for this year, and it's actually getting kind of warm in here. My wife, God love her, but they do not like air conditioning. I think that's probably going to be our biggest battle between us, is running of the air conditioning. She thinks it's no good for your health. And in some ways, I'm sure she's right to a certain degree. Okay. I once told a man, you know, if there's a better way than what I'm doing it right now, show it to me, and I will, and I will change. And that's kind of the whole thing with this. As I have started feeding, over the last several years, I've started feeding everything with the dual wires um, to all the modules, and I think a lot of other builders have indoctrinated that too. The two pill is probably the only exception where it depends on the box that I'm building it in as to what method I use. Um, to be brutally honest with you. Well, I've thought about that too. I may just have to get me a stick and do that. Usually, every time I get ready to put the air conditioning in, usually there's always been somebody here. Out here in the shop, I don't have regular air conditioning, which I don't in the house either. I just use window units for the house. I ran out of money when I was building the house, so I couldn't afford a central cooling system. But because of the way I've got the house insulated, usually I don't even use air conditioning in the house until July. Uh, to be honest with you, mainly because of the fact that it runs, it stays cool enough most of the time that I don't need it. The only time I'll probably put the air conditioning in, as far as in the bedroom, is I'll probably put that in here in the next few weeks, just because it does get hot whenever I sleep during the day. It's still not unbearable, but I can add a little bit more. There we go. Good evening, Mr. Carlock. How are you doing this evening, buddy? Hope all is going well on the farm. Just notifications. Okay. Let me grab my bottle of water here and we'll commence the working here. Well, I got it out. I don't know where I set it. There it is. Okay. Just need a fraction more here out of the front. There we go. Wonderful. To do the same on this one, just a little fractional cut here on the corners. Yeah, I've seen some people, they'll hold a big 1 pound roll of solder and they'll do it this way. And I've always liked just cutting it off sections at a time and soldering. There we go. Okay. So now we got that taken care of. Get our resistors put down in place here. Hello, Mr. Mr. Carlock. Well, I'll say hello to you again. Hello, Chad. I see you've been busy. I seen your video here the other day. You got stuff stacked here, stuff stacked there. That looked like my house here a couple of years ago, man. Jeez, oh Pete's. And I'm sure you still didn't show everything that you've got to work on yet either. Yeah, speaking of which, I've got one or two more things that I'll probably take this year myself, and then I will be not taking any more in until next year. Yeah, you're right. I mean, I'm grateful for all the business that I've gotten. I mean, I'd like to have a little more simple work, which I think we all would too. Um, most of the stuff that I've got is not, simple repair, but, I have had a few more calls for power supplies, especially since I, released the 500 amp power supply, which, by the way, is a really good deal for anybody that's interested. I've got, potentially one more power supply coming up. And then, like I said, everything else that I've got here is pretty much all I'm going to take in, which I'll talk to you guys about that on another video here a little later on. Okay. Now let's get some wire here and we'll get those wound up. All right, Greg, have a good one, buddy. We'll catch you on the next round trip. Let's see. Yeah, well, that goes from the time I was in my early 20s on up. I've done a lot of fabrication work in the industry, so it's kind of stuck in my brain, to be honest with you. Okay, well, Bruce, we're gonna have to do, because no, actually, I do have some. I'm actually surprised. Didn't think I did. Which, as soon as I can get enough money up, I'm gonna try to place another order for some Teflon wire. Spoke with another box builder here earlier today, so I don't think nobody, by the way, Chad, nobody has beat your record of sales. Just to let you know. But I know that you're probably not going to need. I know you're not going to need wire for G's. Probably for the rest of the year now. That's the other side of that. I know if you go through most all of what I sent you, I'm sure that it will surprise me. But there again, I know you've got that one build coming up that, man, you're going to eat a lot of wire up real quick on that one. A lot of wire. Yeah, I'm actually hoping, hoping you'll actually do, even if it ain't live, I hope you, film part of that because I really would like to see that built as far as that big 48 pill that you got coming up, man. Yeah, I've never had anybody ever order anything that big, but I don't have enough supply here in my shop to actually run that. Um, one of these days I'll sit down and I'll actually build myself a 1,000 amp power supply. I'm running on a pretty small power supply. I can run a 24 pill, and that's about as big as I can run. Generally nobody orders anything larger than about a 16 pill from me, but again, as you know, it takes a lot of time to build it. I know you run your shop full time, and I did at one time, but now I'm back down to doing it part time, and man, it just takes me months to build something that big. Let's see here. 1, 2, 3. Yeah. Yeah, that's what I want. Check this message here out real quick. No, 3, I am live on YouTube. Yeah, I'm actually surprised I had any black left in 18 gauge. I've got like tons of white, tons of green. Probably only have about 25 feet of black left, at least before I started this project. But because of what the transformers are requiring, okay. An Antron 99. Hello, 3 Maid. Well, an Antron 99, if you're only going to run a couple of 100 watts, it's an all right antenna. The only problem with the Antron 99 that I've seen is they do seem to splatter quite a bit. You've got a lot of extra harmonics that come off the antenna and get into your neighbors' televisions and all that other good stuff, at least back in the 90s and early 2000s. That was probably one of the biggest reasons why I got away from them years ago, was for that reason alone. Um, but I mean, they are, for the money, they are an all right antenna, but honestly, I think if you're going to do that, I think you would be better off to go to a Mako 5/8 wave. A little more trouble to put together, but well worth the money. If you're not looking to buy what I call a big dog amp or big dog antenna, like a Mr. Coily or something like that. Um, yeah, that would probably be the direction of travel that I would go. So, but they will get you on the air. Okay. Now I'm going to look up and start going through the little baggie, see what I can't put here and here for the input and output tune on the transformers. But we're actually at a good stopping point since it is going on 9 o'clock. I'm going to have to actually leave and head to work. So with that note, guys, I appreciate you popping in for the quick visit. I'm glad to have you. Hopefully we can get out here and do this a little bit later on. But meanwhile, I've got to go to my full-time job. As you can see, like I said, work here. I do get stuff done, but it's in very small increments. So, guys, I appreciate it. Take care. 73s, God bless. And we will catch you on the next live video.